How to successfully recover from sexual addiction. I'm Dr. Doug Weiss. I've helped thousands of men and some women get better from sexual addiction over the last 40 years. That's our topic today. Please subscribe to the channel. If you got a question, put it in the box. Well, how do you successfully recover from sexual addiction? Well, let me tell you personally, I've been free for over 40 years and you can too. Now, how does that happen? Let me give you a few points. Number one, you got to believe you can. I find that people stay trapped in sexual addiction for years or decades because of a single belief. I don't believe I can, Dr. Weiss. I tried, I cried, I prayed, and they failed again and again. Well, part of the reason we'll find out as we go through our conversation is why they failed again and again. Okay, there's no reason to ever fail. Okay, I haven't failed in 40 years. I take a polygraph to verify I got 40 years clean. You can live free. You can live well, but you got to believe you can before you can. Number two, you need to get informed. I would highly recommend you go to our website, sexaddict, sexaddict.com, and do the 6 types test. It's absolutely free. It'll tell you what type of sex addict you are, because that information will be helpful, because not every sex addict is the same, and therefore they don't need the same treatment. So do that. That'll help you, and you want to get informed. Number 3, you have to have a plan. Recovery is work, and it's a work that has a plan, and if you do the work, you get better. If you don't do the work, you cannot get better. I've seen thousands get better doing the simple plan. I'm going to give you the beginning of that. There's way more that you can do. We have a book called The 101 Exercises. You can get that, and there's a lot you can do. But let me give you the basics you can start with even today if you would like to actually get better from sexual addiction. Once you believe you can, and I know you can. Number 1, you pray. It doesn't matter what your religious background or spiritual background is. Even if you totally think you're an atheist, it doesn't matter, because sex addiction robs you of spiritual maturity. So there's no way that you're spiritually mature, even if you're a pastor. Okay? You need to pray. So just say something like this: God, help me stay clean today. God, I don't even know if you're real, but help me stay clean today. Whatever you can do, do. Number 2, I want you to read. I want you to read the book, The Final Freedom. I want you to read literature related to sexual addiction, like the 101 Exercise, the STEP booklet, Lust-Free Living, the book Clean. We have a lot of materials that can help you get better. There's other people who write. There's a plethora of information out there on sexual addiction recovery, 12-step support group materials, all that stuff. You need to read. I'm talking like maybe 5 to 10, 15 minutes a day. Recovery is going to take some time, and dedicate some time. And I would say the earlier in the day, the better. Number 3, you need to go to group. Absolutely non-negotiable. I'll never forget, I had a client early in probably the first couple of years of my career. He sat across the chair from me. Now here he is, he's paying me to help him get better, but he's going to tell me how he's going to do it. Now the same mind that created the problem is not the same mind that's going to get you out of the problem, generally speaking. So I told him about the 5 commandments: pray, read, and then the next one's group. He's like, oh, I can't go to group. And it wasn't like he was an important person or anything. He wasn't famous or anything like that. He just had pride. I said, well, okay, I'll make you a deal. Can you keep your word? I said, if you can't keep your word, nothing we're going to do is going to work. I can keep my word. Okay. You don't have to go to group unless you relapse. If you relapse, you make a deal with me, you will get to group. And in our counseling center, we have groups all throughout the week, because we do 5-day intensives from people all around the world and country, and so they participate in these. So we have them right in our office. And he said, okay, he was in group next week, because addiction is a we recovery. It is not a me recovery. You do not recover by yourself. You recover as a team. Okay, you tried and failed and tried and failed and cried and failed, and you've done all this stuff to try to heal, and yet you are not being successful, because you don't be successful by yourself. I couldn't do it by myself. I didn't start healing until I started being accountable to my roommate when I was in school, and that's when I actually started to heal from sexual addiction recovery. Now listen, you might resist that. There are plenty of groups out there. We have freedom groups across the country. You can call my office, 719-278-3708. If you go to a local 12-step group, I would recommend Sexaholics Anonymous, because they believe that sobriety is no sex with self or others. And some other groups are a little bit more lenient. So I would want you to go to something like that. There are other types of recovery groups around the country. And if you can't or just don't want to go to a face-to-face group, call my office. We have phone groups. And there are people from all over the country, all over the world in these groups. And there's plenty of them. Okay, there's like 50 or 60 of them. You can find a time that works for you and get into a group, okay, so that you can do the rest of this plan. So you're going to pray, you're going to read, you're going to get in group. Number 4, you're going to make phone calls. Every day for the first 90 days, you're going to call someone in your group and tell them how you're doing. What's going on with you? The reason this is, see, recovery is putting in a set of disciplines that moves you more towards getting results than the lack of disciplines that you already have. Change your disciplines, like you change your diet, your exercise, you get a different body. Change what you're doing in your addiction to recovery habits, you get recovery instead of addiction. You get freedom instead of guilt and shame. Okay, you get a clear mind instead of the guilt, shame, and doubt. And if you really knew me, you wouldn't love me, stuff that's going on inside of you right now. So you go to group, you make phone calls. This is Doug, I'm just checking in, I'm fine today. But what happens is, if you know you're going into a situation where there's going to be a bunch of triggers, or you know that there's going to be a rough spot, you can call somebody and they know what you're talking about. You don't have to explain what you're going through. They know. And they can help you get through that bump so that you don't relapse. And then you're another day clean. That takes us to number 5. Pray again, thanking God, higher power, for staying clean. Okay? And addiction robs you of spiritual maturity. So don't worry about your concept of God until you kind of keep developing sobriety. But that will help you. All right? Now, next, okay, depending on the type of sex addict you are, you're going to need some professional care, but with someone who's actually trained in sexual addiction. I'm the president of the American Association for Sex Addiction Therapy, and these people are trained and certified. They spend 45 hours in training, 6 months in supervision. They know what they're doing with sex addiction. I did a survey of counselors in big cities. 90% of the therapists who say they treat sex addiction, they don't even have read a book. There's nothing on their resume that supports that they treat sex addiction other than they want new clients. So be careful when you look for help. Get real help for real sex addiction. It is a niche, and someone should be trained in that if they're going to say that they treat that. If you don't see a certification, do not go there. You're going to get probably less than the best treatment. All right, call 719-278-3708. Do a 5-day intensive. And also, with the intensive, the wife or the spouse can get help. And that's just as important. If you haven't read our book, Partner Betrayal Trauma, or watched the movie, I would definitely encourage you to do so. It'll give you empathy, because the PTSD, the depression, the self-esteem damage is all real. Okay? And if the spouse can heal and the addict can heal at the same time and work on the marriage, that's what we do in intensives, that's what we do in counseling, so that all 3 can heal at the same time, expedites everyone's healing. And there is hope. I want to tell you, I have sat face to face with probably 5,000 couples who have experienced every type of sexual addiction you can. Sex with others, sex with self, sex with people they knew, friends, relatives, all kinds of bizarre situations. And they were able to heal. They were addicted until they were 60, 70, sometimes even 80 years old, and they got free. So you're never too late and you're never too bad to get well. But you got to believe that you can. And I hope I've inspired you to at least believe that you can. You know, when you sit in a group with other guys, then when they come for intensives, they go to group on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And they see guys that are maybe not as sharp as they are, not as rich or as educated or whatever. You know how guys do that. And they go, wow, if they can do it, I can do it. You need the inspiration, you need the encouragement, and you need the accountability. We heal together. And I hope you will take your step. And if you need help, give us a call. We are actually experts in this field, and we want you to have a quality of life without your addiction. And until next time, if you haven't subscribed, you want to, because if you're a sex addict or a partner of a sex addict, we have more information than probably anyone in the world for you on this channel. If you have a question, put it in the box. And until next time, please take your next step.